let you know this evening is that the program is structured to run such that you should understand, the basics when it comes to Python as a scripting language, as a programming language, and how you can use Python for automation. So basically, that's what we are going to be achieving this evening. I know we have with us some of our engineers that are already working as DevOps engineers. Some have worked now for 1 year plus. Who call me personally that will be in this program and they'll be fully part of it to enhance their skills again when it comes to understanding Python and this. I mean, so basically that's what we are going to get this evening. So no, not to take much time. I'd just like us to pray as we have Prof. Niba take over to present the end-to-end Python and what we'll be expecting in this program. So let's just bow down our head again as we pray. I don't know, Prof. Ken, if you're there, can you pray for us, please?
All right, let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we praise you and thank you for another day that you've made. We thank you for, indeed, this is the day that you've made, and we are here to rejoice and are glad, Lord, because you made this day for us. We just thank you for this time. We thank you for Prof, Lord, as he takes us through this journey of Python. We just pray that, Lord, you'll give us understanding. Lord, you'll give us, you'll quicken our minds, Lord, to be able to grasp the concept that are being taught. We just pray for a blessing over him, over his family. Lord, we just pray that you continue blessing the Landmark family. We just give you praise and honor in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah, so Prof. Neba, you can proceed. I'll mute everybody while this presentation is going on. At the end of it, there'll be questions. So only the admins or the hosts can unmute themselves, if need be. Yeah. Yeah, Prof, you're can you unmute yourself?
All right. So thank you very much, Prof. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Thank you so much. It's a privilege, to be a part of Landmark Technologies. I've been working with Prof. Simon for some time now, and I just want to, appreciate the efforts that he has put in to, and all the team that he's working with to build this platform. I think it's a platform at the right time, and being a part of it just makes it a blessing. So before we dive into the content for today, I will start this the normal way I start my classes, okay? So this is one of the programming tools. If you want to be a rock star programmer, you need to also be accustomed to this, because sometimes when you crash the code, you need to get some energy and motivation to keep going. So I'm just going to sing some song before we proceed. All right. So welcome everyone who is on the platform today. My name is Niba Fonsang, and I'm here in Denver, Colorado, in the United States. And it's wonderful to, meet with all of you today. So today we are doing the demo for this, Python software engineering master program. And I'm going to share my screen and we will, take off from there. Okay, so I'm sure everyone can see my screen. So once more, welcome to the Python software engineering program. So just a little bit about myself. I am an instructor, kind of instructor at the University of Denver at the Ritchie School of Engineering, and I've been teaching a couple of courses for 4 years now. But before then, I've been teaching even before I came to Denver. So I think I've been in education for some time, and I've been working with people in the industry and quite have some broad understanding of things, especially when it comes to IT. So I've taught about 12 courses for these past 4 years, because at the University of Denver, I also had the privilege and the opportunity to pursue a PhD in research and statistics while teaching, Python courses. And again, about 12 of those courses have been taught, and that would be about 43 classes of students since 2017. So it's been a marathon, while I'm also hoping to graduate from my PhD program in March. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. Right now, I work with different kind of projects. We work with some industries and different open source organizations, AI platforms. I'm really specialized in programming, mostly with Python. And also I work with like machine learning, which is what we usually call AI, and building AI applications and things like that. So that's a little bit about me. And a little bit more, if you look at nibafonsan.com, you probably see my website, and you can also look me up on LinkedIn through this link. I publish one book, which is on Amazon. It's called The Linux Fundamentals, a practical guide for data scientists, machine learning engineers, and IT professionals. Is probably a book that anyone who wants to, do some back-end jobs, probably building applications, working as a DevOps engineer, or just as a software engineer. I mean, Linux is something that we must master, because we will have to be dealing with command lines. So it's really a universal tool for different, roles. So why software engineering, right? So this program today is about software engineering, and want to see, but why does it really matter? I think this is like one of the questions that haven't been teaching for a while. When you get into a class, students may be wondering, but why are we learning this? What is the use of this? How do we use it in a real world? So just to highlight, in a nutshell, some of the important things or features of software engineering, even before we dive into looking at what software engineering really is. It's used almost everywhere today. We need software, right? Software engineering is about developing software products, and especially in the midst of this pandemic, where businesses have been driven to go to the internet or go to the clouds, to move to the clouds or to the internet. Most of the work today is being done through the internet, and so there is a higher demand for software and for software products. So from building websites, we need software engineering because we build, like, even web applications are part of software products, from computer games to airplanes, spaceships, cell phones, banking, transactions, all of those. We use software every day to accomplish or to use these tools that we have just mentioned, right? So our world today, again, heavily depends on software. And that is why there is really a high demand for software engineering. And sometimes when we hear of this word like software engineering, it can be a little bit scary, but we really want to demystify and open, the veil, and let us like see what is really going on under the hood when we hold a piece of software in our hand, right? And we will see some of the examples of applications that we can actually build, and that this program will offer you the skills to build. So what is actually software engineering? Software engineering basically involves different processes. It's not just one thing. There are many things involved in software engineering, but in the nutshell, you need to be developing, applications and maintaining applications or software products, right? So it's all about developing software products and maintaining software products. All that goes into it is really what software engineering is all about. And this is a little bit different from, software development. Like, software engineering is more of an umbrella term. It incorporates software development, but it goes beyond that. Yeah, I saw someone raise their hand. Yeah, feel free to raise your hand at any point, Kingsley. You have a question, feel free to unmute and ask.
Yeah, because of the number, they should just type the question. I'll be taking down note and I'll let you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Great. So probably we can take questions at the end.
At the end, yeah, that'll be better.
Yeah. So
I think the problem is your volume. Can you up the volume a little? I don't know. Are you connected directly on cable or wireless?
it's wireless. It's wireless. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
you.
Okay.
I think something
Yeah, so
you have to use wire because that should be the challenge you are getting.
I see.
Someone
Okay.
said too much bass on your mic. I don't know if you can adjust that.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay. Okay, and I guess some other folks are suggesting that any other person can increase their volumes at their end. So check.
I think it might be a little bit better now. Let me know.
Yes, better.
Okay.
Better
so just a moment. Okay. All right. So this might be a little bit better now. So just like we were trying to define what these concepts really are, because if you are getting into software engineering, you want to really understand what software engineering really is about, right? Like, some people might have seen this flyer and they are just wondering, but what really goes into software engineering? Like I said, software engineering basically is about developing software products, computerized programs that you develop with a computer, right? And inside is all about writing code. So when we have all these things running, even this PowerPoint is basically a bunch of code running under the hood, and we will get to see how these things really work together. So there are, like I said, software engineering incorporates or takes into consideration software development, but it is broader than software development, because you will need to, it involves, it's at a large scale, which means you develop not just a single application, but it's an entire system that has different applications in it. when you look at the system like Amazon, when you go to Amazon, web page to buy, you will notice that there are just different sections, right? You have an area where you can check your orders. You have an area where you add things to the cart, you do payment. So there are just different features, and that website can be seen as a software. And there are different features. It's really a huge and a robust software that has different parts that come together. So with software engineering, you are not just developing a particular feature, maybe just the part that people have to submit a form or submit their information to sign up for Amazon web account. That could just be, that particular page is an application. Another application could be like the cart where you click and buy, right? Another application could just be the search where you search stuff. So all of those applications need to come together. So integrating them together and let them function as a whole system smoothly, that's really the big part of software engineering. But software developers get to develop maybe just specific features, but with software engineering, you work beyond just developing a single feature, but you can develop multiple features in a single project and integrate all of those features together to give you, a complete system that could serve, a specific need. So I was just trying to separate software engineering from software development and saying software engineering is an umbrella and contains software development. And so there are two types of software engineers. You have application engineers, and that is really what this course is about. It's about, providing you with the skills to be able to build an application from scratch. You become like a developer and also not just end there, but make that application go live so that others can be able to use that application to accomplish a certain task, right? So you get to work from we are going to start from scratch, from the basics, and build up till we build a full application and deploy it. And it employ kind of involve deployment and maintaining of your application, right? And so we said it's similar to software developing, but we kind of do things here in a much more larger scale. But system engineers are people who, if you have already built applications, they are, making sure that the application is working smoothly. There are no, bugs in it. Your infrastructure is working okay. For example, maybe the CPU usage is not hitting 100%. You want to make sure there is load balancing. I think Prof has a section that handles system engineers, people who can be able to maintain infrastructure, and the DevOps aspect of things really, touches on this a lot, on infrastructure, right? Where you get to, deploy all of that infrastructure with YAML files and Terraform, CloudFormation on AWS and all of those. So, so you can see how these two, parts of the landmark programs, they come together. All of them are technically software engineering, but they are just, focused on different aspects of software engineering. So here we'll really be dealing more with developing applications from scratch. So we've already look at what software engineering is, why it is important, and now we want to look at this program specifically. Like, what are we going to be doing in this program? So in this program, like I said, we will develop software applications using Python and Django, right? These are like the state-of-the-art tools for developing, especially web applications. I've had different companies contact me, and they are, trying to get someone to develop, content for them in these areas. They are switching from maybe Ruby and Rails, switching from different tools and frameworks that have been used in the past. And everybody is now getting into Python and Django because like this is the hot cake of the day. I was even doing some research, and I look at it because I also have a subscription to like Python weekly news. I think from my email, I saw the Django, headline, and I click into it, and I realized they were just reporting that Django is like the top framework in Python according to the most recent survey. Like, it's one of the best frameworks or set of packages that is written in Python, because Python has so many frameworks and for different things. When we talk of frameworks, we are just talking of tools that are using Python to do something, to develop some applications, to solve some problems, right? So doing this is going to really set us up to be people who are relevant, because we don't want to be learning things that are outdated. So this is like the top skills and tools that we need for development, Python and Django. And if you just go to Google and just ask Google what is the best programming language, Python is going to be at the top, right? So Python is really something that, as we will see, is applicable in almost everything. It's a general purpose programming language. You use it not only for software engineering, not only for software development, it's used in different ways. Like some other ways which I use it, I already mentioned that I use it to develop AI applications. I use it in machine learning, in data science and stuff like that. So it's really a great tool to understand how it works. So with Python, you can easily navigate your way into different fields, even apart from software engineering easily. So like I used to tell my story when I learned Python, it's a game changer. Things change like radically when I learned Python. From there, I just came to that point where I ceased to apply for jobs. Like for the past how many years now, I cannot think. Like, I've not really sent applications formally. Some of the times I just have to email, somebody and just send my portfolio and some projects that I've done, and they just get me on board. And so what am I saying? I'm saying this to say how relevant these skills are. In fact, I actually applied the position I applied in 2017. I wasn't really applying for a Python position, but the people saw that I have done Python in my resume. They say, oh, wait, we have a position that is more, it's not the one you are asking for. It's a Python position. Will you be willing to do that? And I was just like, bring it on. Right? So what am I saying? I'm saying when you learn these skills, they are really hot skills and relevant skills in the market. And so you'll just be doing a lot of good understanding how to use Python programming, and more to that with Django for software development. So in this course, we will learn how to build software applications from scratch, deploy them in a way that and make them available on a cloud platform so that users can be able to use those applications. So it's going to be very project and oriented, right? And very practical. And you get to see how things are really working. So we will be covering both the conceptual aspect of things and also the practical aspect of things. So you really get to know how things work, because sometimes if you maybe just memorize a few lines of code and you go for an interview, it can be difficult just memorizing things. You really get to know you really want to know how things work under the hood. And when you really understand how things work with Python programming, you can be able to apply that knowledge, transfer it to different kind of problems, and solve different kind of problems. So that's one of the things we will really do in this course. Get the conceptual understanding of how things work, and also apply them in real case and real projects to see how they work in practice. Because sometimes, just looking at how different pieces work without bringing them together in a project, you might still be challenged if you are handed a project. So also having hands-on on how to bring all the different pieces that we'll be learning into a project, it's a very vital thing that we will be doing in this program. So again, we will also use the state-of-the-art approach, which I think Prof is already like an expert in this area. Probably we'll just be scratching the surface of using, not all the DevOps tools, but we'll use platforms like Git Action and GitLab which are, DevOps platforms for CI/CD, um, uh, processes, right? When I say CI/CD, is more of continuous integration, continuous deployment. So we are going to build pipelines. When we develop our applications at the end of this course, we will build a pipeline. So you see how you have developed a code on your desktop, take it from your desktop, push it to Git, and get Git, or maybe push it to Git action, Git lab, and automate that process for GitLab to take it and deploy it on, first of all, you can test the application to see that it is working well. So it is like, build, like develop, push, a test, and then build. You can build maybe a Docker file out of, after you've tested and everything is working well, you can probably build a Docker file and send that maybe to a repository, to the registry, the Docker registry, and get it from that registry and deploy it to maybe a cloud platform like AWS, Heroku, or just different kind of platforms where applications are being deployed. So that's like some of the pipeline, aspect that we will touch in this course, but we will not go into all the DevOps tools as Prof is already doing, but we will focus more on using just Git Action and, GitLab, which also have the ability to, automate these processes up from development to deployment. So that's a little bit of what we will be looking at in this program. So we will build end-to-end, Python applications with Django, and again, we will create those CI/CD pipelines with tools such as GitLab and Git Action. We will deploy our applications on platforms for free, like on Heroku, Python Anywhere, and also on, AWS. And probably at some point, Prof can even come in and take off with Kubernetes, but I don't know if the program will have enough time for all of those, but yeah, it's already heavy. So what kind of applications have been built with Django, right? I'm sure some of us or some of you use Spotify to listen to music and things like that. That is in Django application. You probably have used Eventbrite to maybe register for an event. That is built in Django as well. Dropbox, where you maybe store files and share stuff, that is in Django application. Bitbucket also has its features built with Django. YouTube also has Django and Python in it. Prezi, which is a PowerPoint kind of platform, online PowerPoint platform, is built with Django. Mozilla as well, which is a Firefox browser, has Django in it. So anything that has Django in it has Python in it, okay? Because Django is written in Python, so you cannot work in Django with something else. So basically, we are saying that all of those things are built in Python, but it's possible to have applications that are built on Python alone without having Django. But you hardly have a Django application that doesn't have Python, because Django is already a Python framework, which means it's built on top of Python or with Python. So other applications that are built with Python, which do not necessarily have Django, we have Google. I remember at one time I was teaching, and I was asked to teach an undergrad course. Most of the courses that I teach, like 99.9%, are graduate courses for master's students. And so I had this one course that I taught with undergrads, and they were kind of using Excel, and that's just like a toy software for and for that class. And at some point, I started introducing them to Python. I said, these things, you can automate them with Python. So in one of the class sessions, we started Python, and some of them started crashing the code, and sometimes it gets frustrating when the code is crashing, right? And then the next day, one of the students was like, I'm sure maybe he went home and he wasn't really comfortable using Python. Maybe he was crashing the code. He was trying to upload a file. And sometimes you can miss just a dot, and it can take you hours if that dot is there, if it is not removed, right? So it's very sensitive. Just a little thing in Python can keep you there for hours. I'm sure he had that kind of problem. And then the next day he came to class and he was like, why are we using Python in the first place? I said, because like Python is really important. They are important skills. And he was like, my girlfriend told me that like nobody's using Python. So I was saying this to say, maybe if you are here and your girlfriend or boyfriend have said nobody is using Python, unless maybe your girlfriend or boyfriend is a software developer and is doing his or her research well, I will say, take it from me. And maybe you can Google it yourself and see how relevant Python is. So even as, so I told him he was like, nobody is using Python. And I told him, you go do your research, just instead of just depending on what your girlfriend said. I said the first version of Google was built in Python. These are big companies. Facebook is using Python. Uber is using Python. Netflix, Quora and Yahoo, all of those big companies and even small companies, everywhere people are using Python. So it's important to understand that this is a language. It's not something that is still trying to develop. It's something that the community is very excited about, and almost everybody is wanting to learn how to work with Python. So what are some projects that you can build with Python, right? Or with Python and Django, with Django's like generally. You can build an email sender. Maybe you are working in an office where you need to be reminding people of a specific meeting on a weekly meeting all the times. You can automate that process and just build an email sender that does that job for you, right? And why when you are done with that automation, you are taking maybe a cup of juice, and Python is running under the hood and cuts time and makes you more efficient in what you are doing. So there are just so many applications you can build. You probably try to convert one type of document format to another, maybe text to HTML, or maybe PDF to something else. You can actually build an application with Django that does that job for you, that conversion. You can build, a chat application such as WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook Messenger, all of those. You can build, full stack applications like that with Django, and tweet automators. You can decide to maybe tweet 5 things in 5 days, and you can build an automator that schedules like what will be tweeted at what time, right? And you can build even a dictionary that if somebody just puts in a search word, it can pull up the meaning of that word with Django. You can build an e-commerce store where you have different items displayed on the website, and you can click into the item, and then it takes you to the page where the item is, where you can see the details about that item, and so on. So those are projects you can build with Python and Django. You can build even video calling apps. You can build social network apps where people can connect and share ideas together. Something like Instagram too is actually built in with Django, right? And so interactive maps where you could actually find out the location of a user. Maybe you can build an app that somebody can use in their phone to really find out where they are. It's not going to be like a GPS, but it's just going to give you the specific location where you are right at that spot. Maybe a course management system for some of you who are maybe still taking courses in school or recently graduated. You might have seen course management system like Blackboard or maybe Canvas and things like that. Those could actually be built with Python, where instructors can upload their courses and actually administer assignments and also grade and provide feedback from those platforms. News apps like Django originally was built for news. Like it was originally built to like to post news by one news agency, right? So you could also build a news app, which is not necessarily to be posting like news, but basically a crawler that crawls into maybe different websites and extract relevant news and put together on a particular website. right? So for example, maybe if you are into stock, you can develop an application that will pull information from different websites and bring together for you to analyze and see, how you should be dealing with those stock. So weather apps here is more of like a Django API. You can also pull information. You can interface with other applications that are already providing information about the weather and pull that information and make it available on a website to users. So this kind of applications, we call it an APIs, which is basically application programming interface. That's an interface like a middleman who goes get some information and provides it to some users. So an online school system where teachers can manage assignments, library systems that track students who maybe borrows books from the library, a quiz app that provides time quizzes and tracks students' scores, and we talk about a web crawler, and so on and so forth. So there is so much that can be done with Django, right? So much, just so much. And the good thing about it is that it's a framework that is much more easier. Like in web development, some other older tools, you will have to really learn things individually. You have to learn maybe PHP, you learn databases separately and how to connect things. But in this course, we will still talk about databases, right? But it's not going to be like from scratch. Like most of those things are already encapsulated or hidden inside of Django. And so you will not really go into the details. It's the all the hard and the complexities and the hard work have been abstracted away. And so you get to don't even see how the database looks like in a very raw database application. But we will work at the back end, which is really what we refer to as the databases, which is more of an admin interface where you could, store information and also bring information from there and display on the front end, which is your web browser. So what is the structure for this course? We will have live sessions on weekends, right? On Fridays, Saturdays, and on Sundays. So, and the time for the live session is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time. We are starting on January 3rd this month, and the class, like last day of class, will be April 24 for live sessions. But I believe that there's still going to be some kind of interaction after that. And hours covered, like in the live sessions, would be 80 hours. And probably you will be covering more than this because you probably have to practice some of these things after live sessions, right? And that is going to help you to really master these concepts, because it's not something that you just listen to lectures. You need to like roll off your sleeves and code. When students come to most of my classes and they are asking, what is the textbook for this course? I'm always like, this course has no textbook. The only requirement you have in this course is a bucket of glue. Buy a bucket of glue. That's all you need to succeed. Pour it on your chair and sit down. And then study. Right? Because when you glue yourself on that chair, that's how you succeed in these kind of things. Yeah. So that's the main requirement for success in this kind of technical courses. You need to put in a little bit of time and practice. So we will cover Python fundamentals. This is the first, like there are 5 main areas that we will cover in this course, right? We'll go through Python, how Python really works, what it is all about, the different concepts and features of Python. So it's like intro to Python programming. And this is really going to help you understand, computer science. I wasn't really from a core computer science background, but when I learned Python programming, it kind of just threw me into, technology and computer science. And so it's really going to help you understand how things work. Data structure is really key. We will look at control flow statements, which is really used a lot in, creating program logic and automating stuff. Functions and modules are ways of, just hiding your code. Write the code once and use it over and over without copy and pasting or anything like that. Then the second part will be object-oriented programming. It's just another style of, writing Python code. Here we use classes, methods, attributes. It has different concepts associated with it: inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and so on. So we will really get into object-oriented programming because that's really what Django uses, right? But Django uses functions too, and all the other things that we will learn in the fundamentals. But we need to touch on this because most of those things we'll be building in Django, we will have to use classes. So what will we cover? We will also look at fundamentals of web development. Getting into software development, we will look at the elements of HTML, how the web applications really work, the website, what is really into it, the code that runs under the hood when you run a URL or a link on a website. We will look at CSS styling. When you create an application, you want it to look attractive. So how do you style it and make it look really good? Because styling can really make a difference, right? So CSS is what we use for styling. And we'll also use Bootstrap, which helps us not to write a lot of code, but it already provides us with templates that we can just copy and paste without having to write the HTML ourselves. So we will learn all of this. And then what we will also cover, we will now dive into Django. After we have done Python, the object-oriented part of it, we understand how the web works and create, even some applications. Each of these sections have like projects that we will be doing, to really consolidate and bring together all the components that we are learning. Right. So the first part is building software applications. And like everything that we've learned in the past will come into this part. So this thing is built sequentially and progressively. So that you need to learn step 1, step 2 is like a step-by-step learning. And we cannot skip anything because if you skip something, you're going to have some loopholes that will make the learning curve steeper somewhere ahead. So assuming we've gone through all step 1 to 3, then we dive into Django now, and we will build applications like a random password generator. I'm going to show you example of some of these that I've worked on. It's more of introducing you to the concepts. So these applications may not be very fancy, but I think they are still very interesting. But the idea here is to help you to understand the things that go into building a project, because if you are building different projects, all you will need to do is to transfer the skills that you have learned from these projects to those projects, right? So we will use like real life examples to actually open up that box in Django and see what is inside and learn the different elements that go into it. So a random password generator is going to be one of it that just help us to understand how Django works at the front end. We will look at a portfolio app, which help us to see how we can work with databases, admin interface, migrate stuff, and direct requests to different URLs and things like that. And also a to-do app where a user can sign up for something and log in and create a to-do list and delete and manage things. With that, you also be able to learn just different aspects of Django. So each of these projects kind of has different things that Django brings that we will be using. So that way we get to learn in a fun way and also, understand the projects in a real world scenario. So after building our Django application, we will now go into CI/CD pipelines. We need to deploy them so that people can use them somewhere. Maybe you can send this application to someone in Cameroon or someone somewhere in some other country, and they can use your application, right? But if it's on your desktop, there's no way anybody can use it. So we need to make it come live on a cloud platform so that others can be able to use it. So that's where creating pipelines come in. And again, we will focus more on Git Action and GitHub or GitLab, which kind of have tools on those platforms where you will not need third-party tools. You will just use the tools that are there to automate this deployment process to a cloud kind of platform. So we have seen what we, will cover in this course. And I will, now move to show you just how things look like when a developer is working on their computer at, on their desktop, right? So I'm going to stop sharing this slide, or maybe I can just switch to, let me see the share button. I'll just switch to another application, or maybe I can share the whole of my screen. All right, so here, come to, can you see my my code here? Just nod your head. Prof, can you see? Okay. Yeah, this is a code, like a software. This is like what Django looks like when you are working in the background. If you're looking at this point and it looks like gibberish, don't worry about it. We will take you through, and at the end of the day, you become an expert and you will not be scared of this stuff. Okay. So this is how things look like when you are working with code on your computer. But this code, let's deploy it. I've already deployed it. Probably here I can use control. All right. Yeah, I've quit that. So I'm going to deploy this application. Let's see how it looks like deploying, like making an application go live, right? It is still there on, like, in a code form. So this application is a random password generator. So I will just write Python because it's a Python, application. Then I'll say manage .py run server. That's all you need in Django to kickstart this application. And when you kickstart it, you can see it's running on this URL. So I'm just going to follow this link and click, and you will see this is my application running on the internet. It's still running locally on my, so nobody can use it. I can't share this with you because you can see here it is the port, or the URL is just the local host, which is 170.0.0 and all of that stuff. It's still running locally on my computer. I can't share it, but at least this is like just the testing and the developing and testing environment, right? Where you develop and test things and see that they are working fine before you send them out there for others to use. So let's say you want a password that has 9 characters. You want it to have an uppercase. You want it to have numbers. You want it to be really complicated, so you're not, kids always like to take phones. They are monitoring you when you get into your password. Before you know it, they are unlocking your phones and everything. So if you really want to generate that kind of complex password, you can put uppercases and all of these, and then we hit generate, right? You see all this gibberish here. I'm not sure those kids will be able to memorize it easily. And so you can see I can navigate into my home page again and maybe generate just the one that has special cases. And maybe we take 12 characters, generate, and look at that. Maybe I can just go to about, like, who made this application, and it is there. I can go back to my home page and stuff like that. So we're building, nicer applications, but just this application alone, to build it, you really get to understand some of the things that work in Django. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this, and I'm going to, like, stop this, and I'm going to navigate into our CD, into the main project. And can take there to just check which projects are there. We also have a portfolio project. So let's CD into this portfolio project. And then we are now in our portfolio project. That's another application. So let's run it again. We run it with the Python that we're going to run that server. Okay, it's saying that Pillows is not installed. So this application kind of use an image and that image needs Pillow to be installed. So it's telling us we can just use this command here, pip install pillow, in order to install it. It's because I got a new computer, so I haven't installed all these packages. Okay, so let's just pip install pillow and see. Pip, or maybe just Python. It's going to download the package that is needed, and now we can rerun it again and see. All right, it's checking for stuff, and now it is running. So this is the URL. I'm just going to follow that link, and think it looks like it's still running the one we had before. So let me close this and use localhost. It's not the localhost we want. Let's go back and click on this. Okay, so here we have the different projects. So let's look at the portfolio project, right? Here is it. So let me cd out again. Probably, I'm sure this site has been cached and may need to clear the cache. cd, we get into the portfolio project. Yeah, this is really an interesting project. I want to really run it, and you see more features of Django, right? Let's run it one more time and see. Okay, it's still pulling up the other project.
Running on the same part.
Yeah, it's locally. So the other one is already stopped. So if you stop it, and then it should not be repeating itself. Okay, yeah, this one is, I'm sure I will probably need to clear cache and all of that. But yeah, I think I'll just leave it here, but and answer some questions. Probably as I'm doing that, I can clear my browser's cache and rerun it and see. All right, so question. Yeah, thank you, Kenny.
Right. I think we have a few questions that folks wrote down. They wanted to find out if one person was asking, are we going to use Flask as well?
Yeah, Flask is something that I use. I think we can incorporate it if we see the need. But what is the difference between Flask and Django is that Django is more robust. It has more features, right? It has more features. It comes with both front end and back end packages. But something like Flask, it is like up and running with building applications. But when it comes to dealing with databases or dealing with the back end with Flask, it's going to be a little bit of work. So Django is more robust. It's a larger and a bigger framework that incorporates some of the things that you would do in Flask. You build APIs with it. But if you are like, you just want to jump in and start running, Flask can be good. But if you are building really bigger applications, you know, yeah, you want to go with Django because it has more features. Great.
Okay, somebody also asked about Boto 3, if we are going to look at anything related to Boto framework as well.
Not really. We will really focus more on Python and Django. Maybe sometime down the road, we can start adding those pieces. Yeah, but for this particular session, it's going to be mostly Django frameworks and yeah, Django applications.
Okay. Someone also wanted to find out, would the knowledge of Django help to know other web development frameworks like Angular, Spring, and React?
Yeah, these things, they work in a similar way. It's just like programming language. It's like asking which one, like when you learn Python, it's you probably pick Java and C++ and all those other ones easily, right? So I think if you focus and master how Django works, most of these things under the hood is more of just syntax and a few different changes. But at the end of the day, yeah, you have a lot of things that are transferable if you are switching to other platforms. And again, down the road, we can probably look at how to incorporate additional frameworks. But at this start, again, we are focusing more on that Django. I saw someone ask here, how is it different from DevOps? It's different from DevOps because in DevOps you learn a lot of tools. Like you learn DevOps tools, like just a lot of single third party, like individual tools and how to put them together, right? But here we probably just use Git action and put everything together. So if you are getting into DevOps, you might be seeing job descriptions that will tell you you have to know how to use maybe Terraform. You have to know how to use Ansible. You need to know Jenkins. It just depends on different companies. They have maybe different things that they've already put on their platforms that they are using. And as a DevOps, engineer, you want to like really get your hands dirty on as many DevOps tools as possible. But here we are streamlining and using a very narrow set of DevOps tools. So that's the difference.
Okay. I
Yeah.
know it's interestingly, I don't know, what do you think? Because somebody with zero knowledge in programming at all ends, no programming language ever done in the past, how do you think this course can really help them to transition from dummies to become a full application and Python software developers?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, haven't taught this stuff for close to 4 or 5 years now. Most of my fundamental Python programming courses, students come in, maybe they even heard of Python the time they were registering for the course, right? Or when they got into that program and saw that there is a course that they would take sometime called Python. So what I'm saying is basically we take students who have never seen a programming language, who don't know what it looks like, from scratch and bring them up to proficiency, and they end up knowing really how to work in Python efficiently and smoothly and solving problems. So even if you have never seen anything programming, we are not jumping somewhere in the middle. We are starting from scratch, from the very basic, and we will build upward to deploying all of these applications.
Okay, I think one other question is, somebody that has done Python and the software development package that we are offering this 13 weeks, just over 3 months program. how much do you think would be their worth in the market, assuming this was the only course they did?
Yeah, I've seen it's a six-figure job. It's a six-figure job, which means in the hundreds of thousands, right?
Okay.
I've seen Django, like just Django developer like positions that run like from 100 to 160. So yeah, so it's software engineering, and it's demanding, and also with the skills that you learn from here, you can easily start as a junior developer, um, or even intermediate. And yeah, I think one of the major things that employers want to see is those portfolios. So in this course, we will really help you build those portfolios, set up, like your GitHub account, build those things that you can showcase that this is what you've done, because that's really what matters in this field. If you can be able to show that you have done those projects and that you've done things like this, and show example of your website running, just send them the link. That is more convincing and tells a greater story than you trying to convince an employer. And personally, that is how I've worked a lot in the past. Yeah, just by showing some things that I've done.
Sorry to almost cut you there. You shared with us your personal website. Does it imply that those that are taking this course, will they be able to set up their website, while they are doing the program, have their personal
Yes,
website, their portfolio?
yes, you can. Like that portfolio project, I was actually going to get into it, is a website project that as your portfolio. I kind of I did that just for a demo. It has my portfolio, it has even blogs that I can post daily, and things like that, and a list of all the blogs. If you click into one, it gets you into that individual blog. You can move around, and link it to your LinkedIn, and just the way a website will look, right? So yes, you at the end of this course, you'll be able to build a personal website that you can deploy, on any of those free platforms, and you can even continue to use it and work with it and use it to showcase your skills.
So from your own analysis, I know we have folks here from different professional background, from medical background, business, accounting, other sciences. Do you really think that they can successfully transition and become software programmers within the specified time that we are running this program?
Yeah, I believe that if you can read and write and use a computer, that is it. That is it. Because again, we are taking this stuff from scratch. We are taking it from scratch. So it's a matter of just setting some time aside and do some projects, because we will be giving some assignment projects too that you can do to develop your skills. So so it really depends on you. If you really want to put in the effort to practice those projects and build something and really push those concepts to sink, right? Because it is learning by doing. Like just any other IT job is learning by doing. And so if you like just dedicate some time outside of class time and practice what you've learned in class, and then you should really be good.
Okay, somebody wants to find out, do you need any certification before you get hired?
Not necessarily in this field. In this field, they don't. Yeah, from personal experience, right? Because even right now, I interview almost on daily basis. Nobody ever asks my degree or anything. They don't even care about those things. Like some people, they tell me directly that they don't even care about like the degree that you get at the end of it and the certification. What they want is you to show something that you can do, because now they will give you all those interviews to prove your skills. You need projects to show, to attract them, to get you into the interviews and all of that. And the fact that when you also put that you've finished a course in a boot camp like this, it or in a in an institution like this, it puts you on higher leverage for employers, because they, they believe in practical stuff, and they know that, what you get working in a program like this and having something to show, that's really a key thing, is what is really needed.
I think somebody was asking, what was that? Okay, discount. Okay, now what are the resources that will be available to students as they go through this program? What are some
Yeah,
resources?
I mean, we will code live in class. We will have PowerPoint, um, and the videos will be there. You can rewatch them and things like that. So those will be some of the resources that you will have. Like we will bring the course like into class, right? And the way I develop stuff, each of my session is like a mini book. So at the end of the day, if you want to maybe get into some other things, but sometimes if you are just learning some of these things on your own out there, Googling, YouTubing, and all of that, it might take you forever. So focus on like what we are doing in class, get the concepts, and that is it. You will be able to apply it anywhere. Yeah, so there would be videos for you to rewatch if you need to
Okay.
from the
Okay,
class sessions.
somebody was asking if we are focusing on Python or Django. I think you have explained that we'll be doing Python with Django, which means
Yes.
the first part of the course is basically Python.
Yeah.
How many weeks are we going to be covering Python before we get into Django? I know we've discussed that in the background.
Question. Maybe I can just share the kind of a syllabus to.
Yes, share that slide. I thought you were going to present that document.
Okay.
Share so that they
Yeah.
know what we are covering in the first Python fundamentals, what we call core Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it.
So this is like what we will cover in the course, right? From intro to Python, like why do you use these features, briefly, just to understand where it's coming from. Programming terminology, when you say you are fixing a bug, like what is a bug? Is it those bugs that are at home biting kids, or what is a bug in programming, for example, or when you say you are debugging? So we need to be acquainted with this, because especially as a programmer, you work in a collaborative environment. Others are going to be using this language. You need to be acquainted with the jargons of this field, right? So just programming and all of that, setting up the environment where you'll be working, like you saw me work, that was VS Code, where I was running all of that stuff. We'll also look at Anaconda, and all of those. Yeah, and then these ones in blue are just like some mini projects that you start working on to consolidate some of these concepts that you learn. So this part, yeah, these fundamentals is all of this 1, 2, and going downward will be for 4 weeks, right? The second week we'll be looking at data structures, which is really key when you understand how things work and process information, and then control flow, automation part of things, and functions, like just hiding your code and packaging it in a way that others can use. Those are the 4 weeks that we will spend in this first part of the course, Python fundamentals. Then from there, we will move up to object-oriented programming, which will be using this in Django a lot as well. It's just another way of using Python. Then that one runs for 2 weeks, okay? It's not too heavy. We get also just 1 weekend, we will spend time looking at maybe the first 2 hours, look at CSS or HTML, and then the next day we'll look at CSS, and the next day Bootstrap and things like that. And also have hands-on. Mostly the last day of class on Sundays, we'll be dealing with some real projects that will be bringing all the skills we are learning for that week together. So most of these projects, examples are just here, but we are not limited to this. These are just examples. And 4 weeks, we'll get into Django. We'll build different kind of applications to learn, all the nuts and the bolts of Django, from the, number generator, to portfolio website and things like that, the to-do, and also learn how to create APIs with Django. And then the last 2 weeks, we'll be looking at, setting up CI/CD pipelines and deploying to different platforms. Yeah, so that is it. At some point, Prof may even come in at the end of this and bring in some infrastructure and start deploying things with with Terraforms and CloudFormation.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Oh,
So
yeah,
um,
I think this is the document you wanted to see.
yeah,
Document
that's the
you
kind
wanted
of
to see.
the syllabus for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Prof. Liba. I think the questions have been exhausted. Today was a demo class. This demo class was intended for us to understand what is expected, what you should expect in the program, who can do the program. And I think from the analysis, if you are able to do DevOps, you are able to do this program as well. I know I've spoken to the DevOps folks that like what you guys will really need in this course from end to end is going to include the first 6 weeks of the program that include the Python fundamentals with object-oriented programming. Of course, nothing is wrong taking the entire course. You work as DevOps engineers, you work with developers, and when you work with them, I know this is going to help you to speak their language better. You already understand the end-to-end software development lifecycle. You'll be able to actively engage. And as I've explained to us in class, for the DevOps program, don't limit yourself. You have joined a new field. This is now the IT field. Try to be the best in it. Be the best in it. That's just our intention. And I'm so happy that this program is starting. Again, there will be people that will come to do only this software engineer program and they'll get hired and they'll make an impact. And those that will be doing the full DevOps end-to-end automation, and a few folks that will want to do a combination as well. All of those options are available. And I know people are asking about the fee. I've explained to you guys already. The fee is $2,500 only for this program. And again, for our landmarkers, those are already taking programs in landmark, particularly the DevOps engineering program, you have a 60% cash discount, which reduces your fee to $1,000 payable in one installment. If you have to pay in multiple installments, you'll be paying $2,500, which of course, I mean, will still be within, reasonable pricing. So that said, Friday, we are continuing with this class. It's going to be running from 8 to 10, 8 to 10, 8 to 10, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's what is going to be taking place. My prayer is that, when we launch DevOps, I mean, the testimonies have been so humbling. One thing about Niba, you heard him singing. Unfortunately, his sound was not sounding well. I mean, that's a choir master. So he has sing in the church choir for so many years. He's a brother that is heavily anointed. So because I know that at times when we teach, at times you teach folks that was said about them, you cannot go beyond $100,000, no matter how you try. There are some people who have been set limits. Just like no matter how they try, the maximum they can earn is about 70,000. So when you want to put them in 100,000, there are some demons that need to clear the way before those destinies are unveiled. But the good news is that we are in a highly anointed environment, and Neba is somebody that I can tell you. I mean, we have a group that he is actually, when I'm in that group, I only listen to him speak and a few others. We have been praying together for, I mean, not less than 10 years in that group. It has been a prayer group and a youth empowerment group. And that's why we could easily connect with each other. Because one thing I know is that no matter how good you are, we need the anointing to make, the kind of difference that is going to be enviable, is going to be resounding, what we call noiseless victory. they will not be seeing the effort, but they will not be able to deny your impact. And I can assure you, if you're a landmark, you know, I mean, a lot has changed for you already. At times, I thank God for making me part of landmark, even because if there's some kind of thing that I see God doing in this, I mean, in landmark, that only Him could have done it. So I'm saying this to just encourage us, like seriously, you know, to just encourage us. This is nothing else but what God is going to be doing. So take note, the program is going to commence fully. It's not as if we have 80 hours already. We have already defined what is happening in the first class. So you cannot be wanting to come and start from the second week. No, we already have everything on the structured. So we know how we are going to do the end-to-end deployment for this program with relative ease. And in addition to NIBA, we have a couple of our folks from Landmark Metropolitan University as well, who are going to be just like what we do here, okay, the DevOps program. We have like other folks on the hub decks, you know, who are there to make sure that nobody have any issue in the program. But again, you know, he's sound enough to ensure that, you know, I mean, you go through this program with maximum ease. And my prayer is that, you know, by the time we get done, and they pray for me, we should start having, you know, software engineers. You know, as a matter of fact, we should have a competition in the month where maybe DevOps engineer, we had about 40 jobs, software engineers is going about 50 and stuff like that. Now, those are the things that we want to happen. And again, in Landmark, we are not just trying to do a shortcut, because I have some folks that want to transition. You know, you are a nurse already, you are a pharmacist, you are an accountant, you know, you are in a different field, you want to transition into IT. There are many fields in IT you can transition. We don't want you to transition in the one that's so easy that you can have a job today and work for 1 month, the next month you're no longer working, you are back, and they're like, what is happening? Because, I mean, man by nature wants easy things. You know, you just want to go and do a course for 1 weekend. You know, I mean, I just want it. Like somebody met my, okay, I mean, Bishop and said, I just want to know the secret of success in a nutshell. I'm not interested in all the details. Just tell me the summary. You know, I just want to know how to live here and succeed the next minute. And he says, it is not a nutshell, it is a full shell. What am I saying in effect? I want us to transition into IT with dignity. I want us to transition with knowledge, because nothing empowers a man like what he or she knows. If you go somewhere and you are talking and you are sensible, people want to listen to you. We just want to go and be, you know, organizing or hosting meetings, you know, because we have stuff like that, right? And of course, you know, and that is not what you should transition into. If we must make an impact, the folks we should be competing with are the best. That's how it goes. Don't go and be competing with, okay, about that guy that had a C grade. You know, don't be comparing with the average guys. Put yourself in perspective with the best. That's how it goes. And my prayer is that as we engage in that, you know, not too long from now, what we have heard so far is going to be like child's play compared to what God is doing. This week alone, we had 15 job offers in 1 week. 15 job offers. I mean, but more is still manifesting itself. So I think that should be the end of this session. And let me check if there are any other question, or let me just unmute everybody. Let me just grant you guys pseudo access to unmute yourself.
Hi, Professor Neba. My name is Bode. Thank you for the presentation today. We really enjoyed what you started. But I'm still intrigued by that portfolio project that you're trying to showcase. Is it possible that you have been able to clear the cache that obstructed the portfolio from coming up?
I see. Yeah, I'll check it again. Let me check it and see.
Thank you.
Okay, while Prof is checking, do we have any other person trying to say anything?
Yes, Prof. Please, I want to ask, will Panda and snippets also be taught, or it's a different aspect of Python?
That's what we covered.
Sorry?
Is that?
Panda and snippets.
About pandas, I think MovePy and all of that.
And snippets, yeah.
So, but
We can't hear. We
You're
can't hear
muted.
bro.
We can hear you.
Okay, yeah, pandas and SciPy. Yeah, those are more data. I mean, if you need it, we could look at how to incorporate things like that, but they are more of data science stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, so there are Python packages that I use more for data analysis, data science. I've used those, but yeah, and I have a lot of resources on those. I can down the road, if you need those, I can send you, when you have understood how Python works, I can send you links and you can explore those on your own. But in this program, since it's not really data science oriented, yeah, we'll focus more on the software application side of things. Just like I said, Python is very general. You can use it almost for anything. So we will focus on the parts that are involved with more of software development.
Okay, thank you.
Great.
Hi,
Great.
Prof.
Good question.
Thank you so much, Prof. I want to know how Python can benefit me to learn Golang. Is it interrelated?
Yeah, I mean, like if you ask like most authors, they will tell you like which programming language should you learn first. They will tell you that you should learn Python first. And the reason is because it's easy, you know, the language is straightforward, it's clean. And like I said again, when you understand how things work, it translates into almost every programming language. It will translate even into Linux. It will translate in like anything you are writing code. These concepts are the same. You will still see functions, you will still see loops, but they are just written with a different syntax, which means with a different kind of way of writing. But the things are working the same way. So yes, if you learn Python, it will transfer, like the concepts will transfer. But maybe the syntax will be a little bit different, but the differences are not really much. I think the key thing is understanding the concepts. Yeah.
I have a question, Prof.
Okay.
So you were mentioning that we're going to do lots of practicals. So are we going to incur, like we are going to use, I believe we are going to use different providers like AWS, like Google, like Azure. Are we going to incur, because I think there was a place you mentioned something for free. So I wasn't sure, do you have like a platform where we have to subscribe to, or how does it work when we start practicing?
That's a good question. Like most of those platforms that are clouds are things that we'll be using towards the end of the course, like the last 2 weeks. But for the first, week till then, you would just need your Python coding environment, like VS Code, and that is it, and Jupyter Notebook. But we'll work more with VS Code, but we will use both so you can see how the difference is between an interactive environment and a scripting environment, because VS Code is more of a scripting environment. And really get into those differences of like what is a script, right? And like what is so and what is just a program that is interacting.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Quite new into this field of IT, but not very new in terms of networking or. Yeah, so my question is, since we're doing DevOps engineering, how do we marry and integrate the two in terms of like in the real world, in the real sector? How do you integrate the two, DevOps and the Python?
That's a very good question. Coming back to what I said, like Python is a general, from the definition of it, it's a general purpose programming language. So most of the times when people ask me like, what can you do with Python? The answer is a little bit vague. It's like everything. So even if you don't learn this software development programming or software development with Django and Python in like the engineering, you can still learn, Python just for DevOps. Because most of those scripts in DevOps, you write a lot of scripts, you automate things with scripts. And some of those scripts, you write them just with different kind of language, right? Some mostly YAML and all of those, but you could write some of those scripts in Python too. So Python can help you write scripts that can help you automate those pipelines and some of those processes that much more in a more flexible way and easily maybe compared to some other things. So it's just another tool. It's not like the only tool. I mean, like in this DevOps field, there are just a lot of tools. And so Python is just one of them. You could use it as an alternative in writing scripts for automation.
Thank you, Prof. Neva. My question is, you talked about the CI/CD pipeline and you mentioned tools like Git Action and GitLab. Are you going to, focus a little bit on like maybe platforms like GitLab, maybe to explain the CI/CD operations?
Yeah, we will actually do a project that will involve deploying using those. So yeah, anything that I mentioned, we will do like a practical project, right? Where at the end of this course, you should be able to develop a web application and deploy it and make it go live using a CI/CD pipeline, such that when you come back to maybe on your desktop and do a little bit of changes and then you hit push, it triggers automatically and updates maybe on AWS or on any of those cloud platforms that is hosting your application where it is running live. If you do some small changes and push, it automatically triggers and updates in that cloud platform. So that's really what CI/CD pipeline is all about, right? So you connect everything, from development to getting it to Git, to letting maybe Git action test if the code is well written and documented, to maybe building a Docker file, to connecting from getting a Docker file and deploying the code as a Docker file and running it on a server on a cloud platform. So those are some of the things that we will have some hands-on working on. So you are like doing development from scratch. But again, it's not like a full DevOps course, because this one you are doing it only with a limited set of tools, which is just the GitLab or Git Action. When you get into GitHub, you are getting into a larger forest of CI/CD tools, right?
Prof,
And so,
yeah, thank you so much. I have one question before I leave. Talking about Python, do you have anything to help us do like when you talk about database and do queries, do we have script that we can do like MySQL, do stuff from the database
yeah, that's a good question. We won't be doing databases from scratch. I mean, I understand databases, I do databases, but the type that we'll do in Django.
I think people wonder, Francis, with the power, how is Francis going to feel if the bike goes later? How is...
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So Django already comes with its databases. And so you don't get to interact with them directly. You just need to go to maybe the settings file and just specify that I want my stuff to be saved to be stored in SQLite to MongoDB or maybe Postgres and all of those. You just need to specify with a line of code. Django takes care of the rest. You don't really get to interact with the databases like maybe you really install a database and get to insert, create the tables and delete and do all of that, manipulate data. Yeah, we won't be going into all of those details because Django doesn't need that. It's a framework that helps developers to focus on development and to work fast. So the database part of Django is that we will be able to log into the admin interface. Okay, so let me probably run and show you the admin interface, how this looks like from here. Let me share my screen. Still remember the password I use, hopefully. If I run this and just say /admin, it will take me, this is how the admin interface looks like. I'm not sure what username and all of that. Hope I get it right. Okay, yeah, I was able to. So this is how your admin interface looks like, and this is like what the database is in Django, right? From here, this one was the password app. It doesn't require any database because we don't need to be storing stuff. We just want to generate a password. So it's more of a front end application. But when we get into that portfolio website, you start seeing how this back end really works. We'll be getting in here. You can get in here and actually create your post here and post it, and it goes to the front end. So you can do stuff, and the back, you will see the database is this like admin interface. Like right here, you can also, create an application that users can, do things, and it comes here directly without the users getting into this admin interface. It stores. So this is what database looks like from in Django's perspective, and you don't really get to deal with a lot of things. It's more of an admin interface.
So Prof, sorry, this is just last. So maybe I didn't get this part. I was just curious. So it means with that database, there's a way for us to query into those databases and retrieve specific information, right?
Yeah, and you
Okay.
can do that even through your application. Like when you click into this application, you can actually do that programmatically. You can program it in your application without having to go to the database and query the way we will query in a traditional database, standalone database, right? Because like again, Django hides all of the database and you can query it directly, but you can write applications that can retrieve stuff for you. And you'll be doing that from the front end, like from your browser, not in the database itself. And that's why when you submit a request, like it pulls, you are kind of requesting that it should pull something out from the database, right? When you hit all those submit buttons, or it's a kind of request to the database sometimes, depending on what kind of request is that, whether it's a post or, so we'll be learning more of those things when we get into this course. But again, we will not deal with databases directly. It's more from the website. Yeah.
So does that mean that I can create an application to challenge Western Union?
All things are possible.
It's just for fun.
Thank you very much, bro. I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I know that there's a lot of questions around why we're using, what is the interface between DevOps and knowing Python. I know that I had an issue in my environment that I'm working on right now, where we had a problem for about a week, and it was going back and forth between the developers and myself. I was the only DevOps engineer on there. So finally, I traced the problem into their own code. I found the problem in their code. And the only reason I was able to find it is because I had done some C++ in my school. So when you say that when you know Python, you will know a little bit about other codes, it's true. And the syntax is the only difference, but you'll be able to read through those codes. And that's one of the benefits you get when you know something about any programming language, being a DevOps engineer. And that's what I wanted to say that. But my question here is on the API side, there's a lot of interviews coming out with API here, API there, write a code about API. Are we going to learn that in this class?
I think it's the very last thing that we look into before we get into the CI/CD. Yeah, when we produce those Django applications, we will see how we can take it a step further and create APIs. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Great.
So Prof, I always have this question, even Prof Lega asked this question at the beginning. So if you were like maybe in our shoes, some of us who has no idea about Python, how would you go about it? How many hours do you encourage putting in a day, to be able to tackle this program?
I'll say just come to class, show up every class time. If you show up every class time and sit there and just buy your bucket of glue and just pour it on your chair and sit for maybe after class time, 4 additional hours might make you a superhero, but maybe 2 or 3 more hours per week can help you master the content. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you so much. I know a lot of folks are trying to find out if they can combine DevOps with Python. Again, that is going to be something we have to evaluate on a case-by-case basis. For those of us that are already done with DevOps, I think class 26, we are finishing next month. I think, people like you going downwards, you can be able to easily take advantage of the, again, this class has come to speed. So when the class ends in May, in April, another one starts in May, just like that. So we'll be having this program running continuously. And again, as we know already, we have folks that are working, and some of them require to have some proper mastery when it comes to one programming language like Python, to go a little bit deep. And that's why, again, this program is being offered. I expected that, most of those that should quickly embrace the program should start with those that are already working, and those that are in the interviewing process, like class 25 just finished. I know you guys are getting hired on a daily basis. While you start your roles, you can still, do some programming polishing with Python. It's very important. So those are some of the things to take note of. And as somebody was asking about how Python and DevOps engineering relate again, DevOps is all about is the bridge between developers and operations. So as a DevOps engineer, you are in between developers and operations. When developers write the code, you take the code from when they write the code, make sure everything is as expected. You set up the pipelines to automate everything. And on top of that, you are able to understand how the servers are programmed, the requirements for the hardware, how the servers should be in terms of computing capacity. You understand all of that. All of those things, that's what makes you a platform engineer, in the course. I'm talking about infrastructure, being able to deploy in different environments, all of those things. So DevOps is more about, we have about 19 models, which is being covered. And again, because I know we have parents here, who should do the Python course? That's one question I was going to answer. Who should do this program? Now, my daughter, I think Queen is, let me see, Queen is 15. She's going to be in this class. She has to be in this class because by my definition, programming is very good for young people, most importantly, and everyone, Queen is in this class. I've told her, you are being set up to take over. You are set up to do far more than what I may have attempted doing. So I know we have folks here that has children as well. I think if your child is 14 plus or even 13 plus, he should be doing programming. He should know programming. He should know programming. Like if you go to a Jewish family meeting, when you meet this Jew, the kind of things they discuss there, it's not like, they're not talking about, is it waterfall and arrow or that we are going to eat today, or is a bar? Those are the kind of things you are going to hear in those meetings. You begin to like, okay, Jane, you take notes, you are being trained to take over the stock exchange in New York. Then another person is being trained now. You should be taking over. That is, they are being programmed to take over. You know what I'm saying? Look at them. They are not many, but they control America. Israel control the United States, because if you go to their meetings, the kind of things they're telling the young one, the young folks already know when they want to ask them, where are you going to know? I'm taking over this sector. This person said, no, I'm taking over the engineering. This person says, I'm taking over. That is how they begin to think. What am I saying? We need to set up the next generation, our own generation, to be people that think differently, not struggling. I want to pay this high riser. You see, people are going to be, no. It does not work like that. I'm just sharing some of this with us because we must think out of the box. And this is the time. There's no time to be partying, go all the barbecues. Yeah, of course, barbecue will be there, no doubt about it. There's going to be, this is the time for us to, this decade, you see that, you must make sure that we secure the future. I remember the story of
Jacob and Esau. Jacob was buying the future. Esau was selling his future. No, give me food. What is blessing? Give me food to eat. I'm hungry. I tell you about blessing. What am I saying in effect? You know, we need to invest time, discipline, consistency, dedication to make an impact. And I'm so impressed, you know, even in our course that we run, we have DevOps program, we have people that they attend this class, they come to another class, some other guys just come from one class, they disappear. You are not even seeing them in the job market, you are not seeing them in the job. What is happening? I thought the program was going to be very easy, but if you don't understand the first class, why don't you come to another one? You know, why do you think? I mean, you know, if you want something tirelessly, click on it until you have it consistently. It's very important. So thank you so much, Niba. We are so glad again. I'm so happy that you are part of this great movement. And again, Landmark, we are here to take over. Class 27, I told you guys already, you are not coming to try IT. You are coming to conquer. So don't go and tell someone on the street, no, I'm a nurse, I don't want to try IT. No, no. You are now an engineer. You have come to take over. You are in charge. You are in charge. You know, you are just doing what you should have done. You know, so take full advantage of it. So these are just some of the few things that I silently discussed with us again. You know, let's look at it carefully again. The fee is $2,500, and I can assure you, paying $2,500 is something, and it's only for this session. $2,500 is only for this session. You know,
and just to interject.
Yes.
And just to interject with that too, Prof. Just to encourage like people to register. You know, sometimes people may feel like, oh, this might be too expensive. Like the truth is that for the Python courses that I teach, we may not even cover like the content that we'll be covering in this class. This class is 80 hours. Most of the classes that I teach in a master's program, they are 40 hours classes, right? Guess how much they pay for that single Python course is $6,000. But
US dollars.
Yeah, so yeah, and so this is really relatively cheap, just to say, and so it's going to set us up, you know, for something great. And so investing that will be just a lot of like benefits in that investment. So I'm saying this to encourage us not to look beyond even that amount, because that amount is a Christmas gift, candidly speaking.
Prof, I have a last question, please. I mean, you've been clear enough about the prices. So you said the fee is $2,500 and $1,000 for landmark student. Is that right? Because I'm on class 27.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, that, you know, we're all aligned. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And Prof, sorry before you go.
For coming.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry before you go. Just to confirm the platform to make the payment. How do we get the details of how to make the payment?
That detail is going to be shared after this meeting, but it's going to be python@mylandmarktech.com. You should see payment, like you just change payment to Python. Python@mylandmarktech.com.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the next class or the first class apparently is going to be coming up on Friday next week. That's going to be yeah.
Is that through Zelle or Cash App, or is the payment going to be?
It's going to work with Zelle, Cash App, Interact. It's going to work with all of those platforms.
Repeat it again. You said Python@mylandmarktech, right?
Yes, at mylandmarktech.com.
So please, Prof, please share it so that it's clear for everybody. So instead of
yes, I'm going to do just that. I'll share it after this meeting. Python@mylandmarktech.com. So you'll get it.
How many installments?
Python is easy to spell.
Is it 3 installments or 5 installments?
Pardon?
Is it 3 or 5 installments?
No, it's a cash discount of 1,000.
No installment.
Cash discount implies that you go to buy something in the market. They say this product is 2,500. But if you have to all at once, we'll give you a 60% discount. That is a cash discount.
We have
to go by installment, you can take advantage of the full fee and you go by installment.
Prof, we have a whole lot. Even if it's 2 installments, you just do it for us, please.
And Prof, is it like
Is
$1
Canada dollar? Canada dollar or USD dollar?
Pardon? No, it's in USD.
And Prof, is it like 1,000 before the start of class, or is it like 1,000? Like
How
when
can you
is
come
the
to the market? Why can by the time the class have started, right? You are in this demo to make a decision. That's why today was a decision meeting for you, right? Am I sure this is what I want to take now, or I just want to get hired first? It was a decision meeting for you.
Prof, it's an engineering course. I thank God for the for Nembe. He has talked about syntax and he has talked about loop and iteration. There's an if and else statement there. So we are going to put all of them into cognizance. So when the if and else statement is a loop, we know whether we are actually doing it now or later.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
No, that's an intelligent contribution. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, the fact is that Landmark is flexible, so get in touch with me.
Okay.
Any need for flexibility, we are going to look at it, right? But what I've said is what is applicable. Okay, let's just pray as we close. Father, we thank you for this meeting, Lord. We bless you for this session. Lord, we again dedicate this Python program before you. You are the one that make DevOps, Lord, to become a talk in the city. Lord, we pray that this software engineering program, Lord, will be highly appreciated, Lord, impactful. And whosoever will be part of it, Lord, their lives will be remarkably transformed, Lord. And not just them, but their families also. Thank you, Lord, even for Prof. Neba. We commit him before you. We pray that let your uncommon wisdom, Lord, becomes his identity. Let it not just be that he has taught so well in the past, Lord. Let it be that, oh God, you are the one who is communicating the matter through him, Lord. That no matter how we have been told programming is challenging, Lord, it will become so easy that whoever have understood programming in the past, our stories and every student's story shall be better than those, Lord. Amen. We've seen folks with amazing testimonies. Lord, that we decree for your word says you will do a new thing, Lord. Lord, that the ones that will graduate from these classes, their testimony shall be better. For you will do a new thing. You say, shall we not know it? That you will even cause rivers to flow in the wilderness. That you will make dummies to become giants. No doubt. You went to the bush and took a Ganako and made him a king. You took a prisoner and made him a prime minister, Lord. Oh, Father, not that your word says you will use the weak truth of this war to confront the wise. We thank you for so shall it be. Thank you, Heavenly Father, because we know you've answered. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Prof. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Neva. Thank you, Prof.
Yeah, thank you all.
Prof. Ken.
Thank you. Good night, Dr.
Good night, Prof. Ken.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Prof.
Good night, everybody.